In today's video, I'm going to share how I remove color bleed or color run from clothing. I'm Larissa. I'm the owner and founder of Criteria Vintage, a New York City and online-based vintage shop. And here on this channel, I share all things clothing care, vintage clothing, as well as take you along on my sourcing and thrifting adventures. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, color bleed, color run. First off, why does this happen? There are a lot of factors that contribute to this, but I would say the number one reason a garment experiences color bleed is because the dye is not properly stabilized or fixed to the garment. You'll notice this more frequently with older or vintage clothing. As time has gone on, our technology, our research has become more advanced, and the synthetic dyes that are used on most commonly synthetic fibers are more stable. They adhere to the fibers better now than they did back in the past. Color run can also happen, however, from washing your clothing in excessively hot water. So always, as a rule of thumb, room temperature, cool or cold water is best for any type of textile. To avoid color bleed in your laundry, here's a couple things you can always do just so you're safe. Number one, always wash on a cooler water temperature. Number two, separate newer garments from things that you've already washed. Sometimes color bleed will happen because a garment wasn't properly stabilized or washed before going to market. And third, always separate your reds. Just separate your reds. You will not regret it. Red is a very intense, highly saturated color and often requires more dye to achieve that desired vibrancy. For this reason, there's more color bleed or color runoff, which can lead to ruining other garments or ruining other colors within the same garment. There are many products on the market that are for color run removal, but today I'm going to talk about the product that I use in my own laundry and in my vintage clothing business. So let's get to it. We'll be taking a look at 3 garments today. The first is this pair of Y2K capris. You can see here that the red dye from the flower has bled onto the white. You can see here on the care tag that this is a polyester spandex blend garment. These can be the most difficult to remove color bleed or color run, but we're going to see what we can do with this garment today. The next article of clothing we're looking at is this 1970s embroidered top blouse. Currently, I don't see any color run on the blouse, but there are a few stains, which I want to treat and wash the blouse. So we'll use this top as an example of how to prevent color bleed or color run. I start by putting an enzyme stain remover on the spots, and we'll let that sit before we get on to the next step. And our final piece is this cotton polyester windbreaker that has a little bit of pink color run on the collar. The product I'm using is a professional textile detergent called Synthropol. I have the product link below, so it's easy for you to find. Starting with the capri pants, I filled a bin with water as hot as I feel the garment can withstand and added 1 teaspoon of the Synthropol. I place the garment into the Synthropol hot water mix and make sure that it is fully submerged. Note that it is recommended to wear gloves when working with the Synthropol, so with a gloved hand, I'm slightly agitating the garment in the water. Now we'll let the garment sit for 15 minutes. I always like to check to see how much dye runoff there is after about 2 minutes of soaking. I can see there is a little bit of red color in the water along with black. When the 15 minutes is up, dump out the dirty water and then thoroughly rinse the garment in cool or room temperature water. You could also choose to throw the garment in a rinse cycle at this point if you so should desire. I hung these capri pants to dry and was quite pleased with how they turned out. You can see here that the Synthropol did an excellent job of removing the red dye runoff in the white parts of the pattern. I'm calling this one a Synthropol success. Next up, let's tackle that 1970s blouse with all the beautiful multicolored embroidery. Now this time, along with the 1 teaspoon of Synthropol, I'm adding in a dash of Solumel. It's a stain removing detergent that I use in a lot of my vintage clothing care. And the same steps apply with this garment. We'll make sure it's fully submerged, agitate it gently, and then let it soak for 15 minutes. After a couple minutes, I come back to check on the garment. I can see that there is dye runoff coming off of the thread, so I'm super glad I'm using this method to prevent this from happening in a wash cycle and ruining other clothing. After 15 minutes, I dump the dirty water and then thoroughly rinse the garment out. This blouse also got hung to dry, and I'm quite pleased that the colorful thread didn't run into the white fabric and we got those stains out at the same time. Another Synthropol success, this time preventing color run. So our last garment to take care of is this 90s windbreaker that has some pink color run in the white part of the collar. You know the drill by now. 1 teaspoon of Synthropol mixed into the hottest water our garment can withstand. Then we fully submerge the garment into the water Synthropol mix, Slightly agitate it with our hand and let it soak for 15 minutes. After a couple minutes, we come back to check to see how much dye runoff there is. After 2 minutes, it's just a little bit, but after 15 minutes, you can see that there's much more pink in the water. Dump out the dirty water, thoroughly rinse the garment, throw it into a rinse cycle if you so should desire, and hang to dry. So after seeing all these Synth Repulse successes, tell me, are you interested in trying this product? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to like, subscribe, and come back for more so you don't miss out on more clothing care tips like this.